Welcome to No Room for Phonies.
Episode 130.
And this is February 2025, and we are going to talk about time management. So we're starting with books worth reading, A Period of 4,000 Weeks, Embracing Time as Your Biggest Asset for a Fulfilling Existence by Ricky A. Bergman. And this book is short. It's only like about 32 pages.
It didn't take Ricky too long to write it.
No, but he pours a lot into it for
a little book.
For a little book. So he starts out with...
Well, there are lots of good books out there on time management.
Yes, there are, but this is short, so you could actually
read it,
and it's not...
and not interfere in your time.
And I thought that the things he's saying are very... he had good thoughts, and it's concise and whatever.
I need to read it, apparently.
Common misconceptions about time management. Time management is not packing more things into your already packed day. It's actually about aligning your activities with your objectives, your values, and your overall well-being, and streamlining your needs and focusing on what matters.
So it's great to be in a steady state of busyness. It is great.
It is not great.
It is not great to be in a steady state of busyness. This often leaves us unfulfilled.
And so you should not say no. You actually should say no. You actually need to make choices that prioritize tasks and adjust them to your needs.
So time management is not about squeezing more tasks into your day. It's about simplifying your priorities and focusing on what truly matters. That's a quote by Brian Tracy.
And so his suggestion is that you mentally move yourself from quantity to quality.
Okay.
And you need to do more, but you need to do the correct things so you can accomplish more with noteworthy efficiency, fulfillment, and a sense of reason in your lifestyle.
So far, sounds good.
So you kind of get your priorities straight, and you do the things that are meaningful, and that makes you actually more efficient. So then he has this little section on the science and psychology of time management. And his theory is that time management is actually a reflection of self-management. So the way we manage our time is a reflection of the way we manage ourselves. And that's another quote by Brian Tracy.
So some questions that the book asks are, how do you effectively allocate and utilize your time?
And how does cognitive load, decision-making processes, and the impact of external factors affect your time management?
Okay, so studies examined procrastination, self-regulation, and motivation, as well as the concept of flow.
So cognitive load is the mental effort required to process information and make decisions. So how do you support cognitive load? You group similar tasks, you automate repetitive processes, you take strategic breaks to refresh, and then you can make more informed and effective decisions about how to prioritize your time and your energy.
Time management goes beyond simple planning and scheduling. You need to implement plans, adapt to unforeseen circumstances, and review and evaluate progress. You need to discipline, focus, and the ability to prioritize effectively.
And he talks about the Eisenhower matrix in his thing, which is the one where it's urgent, but not important, urgent.
Urgent, important. Yeah, I know, the 4.
So flow refers to a state of deep engagement and focused attention in which an individual is immersed in an activity that you're so immersed that time seems to pass quickly. So increased productivity, creativity, and a sense of satisfaction come from flow. So how do you encourage flow?
Well, have you ever experienced flow?
Yeah, when I'm quilting sometimes.
Yeah, you just get into...
Or even crocheting, just because...
And even just reading. Some people you can get into a flow.
For sure.
I guess with reading, there isn't so much productivity, but yeah. So how to encourage flow?
A book.
Yeah. I guess. So break projects into skill appropriate and manageable challenges. So it's not about necessarily just chunks, but into skill appropriate. And then minimize external disruption and so don't stop and scroll on your phone.
Right.
That's for me. Find the right balance between knowledge and skills.
And this also improves your overall health and your ability to make the most of your limited time and attention. So getting into a flow state is actually really good for you. So strategies for prioritization and goal setting. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. And that's a Stephen Covey thing. So
prioritization involves determining the relative importance and the urgency of tasks and activities, while goal setting provides clear direction and purpose.
So he talks about SMART goals, which have been around
for a while,
for a long time. Specific, clearly defined, and leave no room for ambiguity. They say what needs to be done, why it is important, and who's involved.
So S for specific.
Yeah.
M for measurable. Enable objective data assessment of progress by incorporating quantitative data. It allows you to track progress and stay motivated. So you basically, when you set a SMART goal, you want to be able to say what you've accomplished with some kind of number or unit.
Yeah. Yeah. Achievable means it's realistic. Consider the available resources and capabilities and limitations.
Right. So you don't want to bake a 7-tier wedding cake when you don't have enough flour in the pantry.
Or enough pans to put them all in. And then there is...
R is for relevant.
Consistent with broader aspirations, values, and priorities, you make significant contribution to personal growth or the achievement of organizational goals when you make it relevant.
Right. So if all of a sudden one of your goals is to see how many reels you can watch in 3 minutes while you're baking a cake, that's not relevant.
No, that's true.
Topic. Time bound. That's the T of SMART is a specific time frame or deadline, creating urgency and focus, and it helps you take responsibility and make progress over a period of time.
So then the other prioritization and goal setting strategy he suggests is the prioritization matrix, and he gives an example of the Eisenhower matrix or the ABC analysis. So the Eisenhower is urgent, important but not urgent but not important, and not urgent or not important. And then the ABC one is A is high priority, high impact, B is medium priority, medium impact, and C is low priority, low impact.
It's interesting that it uses impact because it's the effect on
other people or on the situation. Yeah. And then the other strategy he suggests is called time blocking. Schedule specific blocks of time for specific tasks or activities and prioritize your activities in advance and structure your day.
So before we continue, I have to bring up some of the differences between you and I. And I did a little bit of reading, and you are a monochronic person and I am a multi-chronic person. And that's because of our cultural upbringing. So my South American culture makes me, what did I say? Multi-chronic. So chronic is time,
right?
Chronology. So a monochronic person thinks linear and time is used up and you have to get somewhere. And a multi-chronic person, there's a more circular flow to time.
And nothing ever gets done.
Well, yes, it gets done, but there's different priorities. So,
yes. Well,
for example,
you're not checking off a list. You're just kind of...
A monochronic culture are like Switzerland, England.
Switzerland?
Canada. Yeah, they're very focused on time. If a train arrives late in Switzerland, people are freaking out after 30 seconds.
That's mono, you mean?
Mono.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I get that they're mono. I thought you said they were multi.
No. Multi are like Greek, Italian, Colombian.
Okay.
Yeah. So, for example, in South America, if you are in a conversation with a friend, but you have an appointment in 30 minutes, the conversation with the friend is more important than the appointment, even if if the appointment is with another friend. It's the prioritization is
what's in front of you.
rather than the future. And they're also more present focused rather than future focused.
Which is good. That's good.
So anyway, just explains a little bit of the differences between
Yes.
you and I.
Yes. Although I have learned to be less.
And I've learned to be more.
Because a balance seems the best way
It is.
to be. So time and calendar management. Until you value yourself, you will not value your time. Until you value your time, you will not do anything with it. And that's M. Scott Peck.
Well, and I think that speaks to like your lifespan
Right.
and
Which is the point of the book, like
Yeah.
4,000 weeks, right?
oh, that's the title of the book.
A period of
Oh,
4,000
that's pretty
weeks.
depressing.
Well, there's 52 weeks and
I know.
50,
Yeah,
52 weeks in a year.
So that's about 80 something. That's
Yeah,
the average.
Yeah. So by integrating personal work and shared calendars, you can get a complete overview of your commitments and avoid scheduling conflicts, which is why I guess we could move to an online calendar and you could put all your stuff in there.
Yep.
But I love to have your appointments in my calendar because then I can,
Right now, it's just easier for me to tell you about them.
yeah.
I can't share my work calendar with
No.
you still, but that's
So-
where I put my appointments now.
Yeah.
So-
But
Yeah.
when you text me those and I put them directly into our family calendar, and then I can at least know, okay,
Well, we
I'm
avoid
doing
conflicts.
something that's going to conflict, but this is how we're going to manage it.
Yeah.
And I can think ahead, which is 3/4 of the reason why I like my lists of things to do and everything, because I'm thinking ahead to what needs to, like, I'll look ahead now. For example, we just gave out all those little Valentine treats like this week, right?
But 2 weeks ago, you made
No,
the timeline.
a month
ago, you made the
And I
timeline.
bought the t-shirts and I bought the stuff that we embroidered and did all that stuff. And then we have it. And then this week,
And did I sew the little T-shirts the night before or a week
almost,
before?
but nice.
No.
Sunday, you did. They
Yeah,
were-
that's 4 days before Valentine's.
I know, but we wanted to give them out on the Monday.
I didn't know that.
So
I thought I was doing. I thought I
But
was doing
anyway, it
great.
doesn't matter. But I'm just saying that
Yeah.
if you don't do a little bit of forward planning, then you aren't able to do some of the fun things that,
I know.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
I get it. The next point is to track the time you spend and analyze it. Recognize distractions, interruptions, procrastination plans, and time spent on low priority tasks. Well, I sometimes find when I make a cup of tea and I set the timer for 4 minutes, I'm like, wow, that's 4 minutes of my life gone if I'm just standing here looking at the stove or at my phone. So then I'm like, oh, what can I do in those 4 minutes?
yes, but I just go sit down and do something and then get back up and go get
Yeah, I understand. But I'm analyzing my time.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
And then it says here to leave buffer time between tasks to account for unforeseen circumstances or just to give yourself a mental break, which
And to have a conversation with a friend.
Which your admin assistant does that for you, right?
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, she
She'll
puts
give
in
you.
buffer times.
So collaboration and coordination, share calendars and schedules with teams and colleagues, allowing for transparency and visibility of everyone's availability and commitments. And
That way you can efficiently plan meetings and tasks and deadlines while considering everyone's availability. And you can be prompt about informing people about changes.
then the next chapter that he does is overcoming procrastination and time wasters. Time wasted is time lost forever, which is what you were kind of just saying. Embrace discipline and take control of your actions to overcome procrastination. And that's by John C. Maxwell. And then he gives this advice, like to break projects into small manageable chunks. Like, for example, I want to get something done and I want it done by a certain date. So
Backwards
then I do
calendar.
my backwards calendar and I give myself a little buffer time and then
Things get done.
things get done.
Absolutely.
Set deadlines, reward yourself for progress, time block and prioritize, develop self-discipline and inner motivation, and use technology and performance management tools. He's really big into that.
Yeah.
Like, even though it's a short book, he gives a lot more
About
information about
The technology part.
everything. Yeah. Yeah. He talks about.
Well, the other thing is, because of all the other books we've been reading and thinking about mindfulness and meditation, like some people would say meditating is a waste of time.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. But that's
But
why
the
you have
benefits to the body and your brain of emptying the mind for 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day they've proven how much more important that is. So I think
But you also
that has to be kind of scheduled in.
yes, it does. But how you spend your time is connected to your beliefs and values.
Yeah.
So if you don't believe meditation, then you're doing something else.
Right.
And then
About procrastination, you need to identify and address what your triggers are that lead to procrastination.
so sometimes procrastination is about fear of failure.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about lack of interest. Sometimes it's just about poor time management.
Sometimes it's about a dopamine hit that you get when you wait to the last minute and then you get it done and then you get a hit and it actually is.
And you drive your wife around the
I'm
bend.
not talking about me particularly, but that's what why a lot of people procrastinate is they need. In university, I got my essays done a week before. I didn't leave it till the night before, maybe 2 times.
Personal patterns and habits are something you have to deal with. And if you implement a structured schedule and eliminate distraction and set priorities, that helps with procrastination. And you just have to find ways to increase your motivation.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it is just feeling good. So you might have that hit of dopamine when you leave it to the last minute. But if you've broken things down into smaller chunks and you're time blocking at the end of every time block, that should be a hit of dopamine as well.
Exactly. And then he talks about a few effective time management techniques, time blocking to create a structured schedule, defining and ranking tasks according to importance and deadline, and ensuring that the most critical and urgent tasks are completed first.
And don't put off the essential tasks. And some people, when they have fear, flight, or fright syndrome, because the urgent task is actually causing anxiety, it can set the freeze into motion.
Yes. And I know, like when I was reading report cards, I always picked the set of report cards that I knew were going to be the worst.
Yeah.
And I got them over with.
Yeah. And by the time I was marking a second set of essays, I knew which student would be the worst, and I would start with the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Clear goals and deadline provide orientation, structure, and a sense of achievement and reduce procrastination, helping you develop better habits, concentrate better, and resist the temptation to put things off.
Building self-discipline and motivation is his next point. And create a daily routine and stick to it.
And this reminds me of the Habits book, right?
Yep. What's it called? The Atomic Habits.
Yeah, because it's kind of like if you want to work out every morning, put your gym shorts on the chair and
Your
be
shoes
ready.
by
Your
the-
shoes,
yeah.
by that sort of thing. Seek accountability through a partnership or a support system, and regular check-ins and accountability partnerships. And you join groups with similar goals, and you develop commitment and consistency.
Yeah. And that's why there are knit-alongs and crochet-alongs and quilt-alongs, because then in community, you're kind of encouraging people to get to the next step and cheering people on.
And then he does a section on work-life balance and self-care. Self-care is not selfish. You cannot serve from an empty vessel. And that's Eleanor Brown. And it is essential to maintaining a healthy and fulfilling lifestyle and preventing burnout.
Regular exercise, adequate rest, and activities that bring joy and contribute to overall physical and mental health are important to have that balance.
Proactively managing time, setting boundaries, prioritizing self-care in order to improve productivity, reducing stress, and promoting feelings of satisfaction and success.
So some self-care practices are
physical workout, solid eating, reflection,
yoga,
breath work, sleep, and just unwinding. Like it's okay to sit and do nothing and just unwind.
Yeah. Establishing boundaries and time management. So realistic expectations, learn to say no to others and avoid overcommitting.
Decline requests that don't align with your personal goals or values. take time for personal and family matters. And the last part of it is to build a supportive environment,
which involves open communication, mentorship, positive work and life culture, and implementing well-being initiatives.
The book that I'm reading right now is called The Way of Integrity, and it basically talks about one of the big things that she talks about is not lying to yourself about like what is where you're truly at and what you're feeling and what you really feel about something, and learning. Like, she spent a whole year not telling any lies.
Wow.
So
you're good at
she
that.
spoke up when she felt, but it was really, and she expected people to be angry and to not understand and everything, but she stuck to it because that was her integrity. And basically, when you are living that kind of a life of integrity, you actually do care about yourself. And you're caring for yourself.
And you're setting boundaries. And
I mean, she talks about people when they're physically ill or they have aches and pains. And sometimes it's just about how disjointed they are from what they know is really right.
Yeah.
Like being in the wrong job or the wrong marriage or the wrong family or the wrong church.
The body
she's Mormon and she finally left the church. Because
interesting.
Anyway, and was threatened for her.
Yeah, well, they excommunicate.
Yeah.
Life is not. Did I get skipped to the right?
Prioritize flexibility and adaptability in your time management approach. Adapting to change is critical to long-term success. Your environment needs to be dynamic and constantly changing. And in this other book that I'm reading, she talks a lot about change. And she says, once you have changed, there are many people in your life who kind of do these change backs scenarios where they kind of go at you to try to get you to change back.
Interesting.
So,
well, right now everything's changing all the time. So
yeah,
it's kind of hard.
But there's the Maya Angelou. Life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away.
That's beautiful.
And I think you were talking about the osteopath that you're seeing, saying that everybody's parasympathetic nervous systems are out
of whack because of the constant change.
Like, first we're having tariffs, then we're not, then Trump is this, and then he's doing this.
And then we have a prime minister, and then we don't, but he's kind of still a prime minister.
And then we have an election and a tariff. Like, there's just so much
constant change.
And then just the whole thing about our own lives and, you know, and the things that are happening just around us.
Around us, yeah. And good things too.
Yeah, right. So the last line of this book just says, appreciate the past, enjoy the present, and embrace the beauty of impermanence.
That's great.
And that's a really good line. So on February 30th, we're going to talk about our top 10 time management tips.
And it's
You're giving 5 and I'm giving 5. And then we're going to see how many match.
All right.
And then we'll make sure we have blind. 10.
What's it called in court? The Chinese wall?
Is it?
I don't know.
Some kind of wall.
Some kind of wall.
Anyway.
We're not going to talk about it till the episode itself.
No, we are. Because what if we have 5 that are the same?
They won't be.
We're going to talk about it before. Because I want to have 10.
It's going to be a priority of mine not to be available to talk about it.
We have to, because then there won't be 10 unless we're going to make it up as we go along.
Okay. Well, let's do 5 each and then an extra 5 for backup.
You're funny. Anyway, we are going to talk about tips for time management in our next episode. And I said on February 30th, but it won't be February 30th.
Yeah, I think you just
that day did not exist. February 28th, which will be the day after the provincial election here in Ontario, if you follow our politics at all. So we'll probably have something to say about that as well. So thanks for joining us for our time management month. of February, and
Perfect month to pick because it's short number of days. You have to get more done.
You have to get lots done, and there's a long weekend, and that always messes up your work schedule. So thanks for joining us at No Room for Phonies, A Period of 4,000 Weeks, a great little book to read.
Good night.